all are the ones that are at fault. This is
You're
no
the one
worse
here
for
at
the
6
flu.
o'clock in the morning.
You know, and I don't even blame the Chinese. I don't blame them at all. They did everything right. It's you all that are hyping things up. Goodbye.
美国男子冲进媒体镜头。
You know, being a part of it, being in China during this outbreak, and seeing how the Chinese deal with it is actually amazing. You know, they when the shit hits the fan, they quarantine. They take temperatures. They close down schools. They close down public transportation. As I say, they quarantine everybody coming into the country. They lock down areas of the city. They actually lock down cities. They lock down provinces to make sure that this doesn't spread any further than it has to. You know, and they're looking at life is more important than money. Okay, so China had, what, 85,000 cases?
2,000 years later.
Even though Beijing has the busiest and longest metro station in the world, the maximum fare is only 8 yuan. So unlike these massive infrastructure projects, this is one that benefits everybody. Above ground, however, it's a completely different story. The traffic is absolutely mental here in Beijing. And with so many cars and bikes and things on the road, they do get worn out quite quickly. When I'm riding my scooter, although the bike lanes are amazing, there are a lot of potholes, so it does make for quite a bumpy ride. So it's a good job that people are able to ride the subway here, as it has the added benefit of easing congestion and helping the environment. The buses are also electric here, which is a great step in the right direction.
2,000 years later.
Moved the majority of their huge population from poverty to the middle class, and mostly cornered the market in 5G and pharmaceuticals. Oh, and they bought Africa. Their new Silk Road initiative is the biggest infrastructure project in history, indebting not just that continent, but large parts of Asia, Europe, and the Middle East to the people who built their roads, bridges, and ports. If you want to go anywhere in the world these days, you better have a yen for travel. Yen for travel. Oh, stop it. In China alone, they have 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. America has none. Our fastest train is the train that goes around the zoo. China sees a problem, and they fix it. They build a dam. We debate what to rename.
2,000 years later.
Getting smarter. What do I mean by that? What I actually mean is that the education of Chinese people is getting better. Before I go into it a little more, let's just rewind 40 years. Back in 1978, the then leader Deng Xiaoping introduced some reforms to kickstart the Chinese economy. Back in those days, the economy, the GDP of the economy was around $150 billion. After those reforms, for the first few years, it ticked along, rising a little bit. And then sort of in 2004, 2005, it started to take off massively. For many of the years after that, it was growing at double digits, as much as 14-15% in some years. And that's a massive, massive achievement. You know, today the Chinese economy is well over $13 trillion.
2,000 years later.
China, because I was tired of living in fear. Petty crime, serious crime, indiscriminate crime was a problem in my country. And I heard other YouTubers talk about, oh, China is the safest place in the world that I was telling you about. The sense of safety comes from that freedom of fear. Everybody talks about the different examples. You can walk around in the middle of the night, man or woman, and feel safe. I can leave my car unlocked and not worry, oh my God, what's gonna happen if I park here? In my country, for example, if you park by the roadside, you need to check all your mirrors. Make sure that nobody's following you, that you can.
2,000 years later.
That you're going to see Chinese people. You're going to see some traditional forms of China. You're not prepared for such modernization, simply because the media and globally China is still making an impact. It's growing, like more so. I mean, in terms of like urbanism and promoting itself as like its own culture and pop culture and all that. But when I came here, I didn't really have any set ideas, because I've traveled quite a bit, and before I moved to Shanghai for a couple of years, and I've learned that not every country is what it seems from the outside perspective, so I kind of brace for impact.
I see.
I just wait for it to present itself to me.
I see. Because of what you saw from the pictures, website or media, it's not like you know exactly what you say in person, right?
Oh, right. How Western media portrays, and it's not negative, it's just
2,000 years later.
Welcome to Hangzhou.
On the road again.
On the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. Dirty. I made a mistake on my last Hangzhou video thinking that Hangzhou was a small town. Stupid. And anyways, we're gonna go to like the most notable place, which I have already covered, West Lake, but Mom hasn't seen it, so. What's your first opinion of Hangzhou? Really raw.
Green.
Cool architecture. Yeah, some wild buildings here. Gigantic golf ball.
$2,000 years later.
You see, it's bright and colourful.
It's a very historic country.
Big. Big, a lot of people and a lot of disciplined people. The buildings, like the beautiful temples and stuff.
A lot of people, like really crowded.
I think a big economic powerhouse that is going to be one of the major countries in the next few years, definitely.
I can only think about their food, really. That's it.
They've got good food.
Yeah. Very fast-paced.
They've got quite a lot of power climate-wise as well for influencing the rest of the world.
I studied at Beijing University and Fudan University as well.
What has your experience been like living in China?
Absolutely fantastic. I loved it. It was literally the best experience of my life.
I think we're very dependent on them. I think that's good. There's a good connection with us, yeah.
I've actually been there quite a few times. I love the place. I love the culture.
What is your impression of the Chinese people?
Friendly?
Yeah.
Friendly? Yeah, I like them. My housemate's Chinese, so we get along really well. They seem pretty reserved. Like, I think it's quite a conservative culture from what I've seen and heard of.
What language do they speak in China?
Chinese? Mandarin.
Mandarin?
Yes. So what language do they speak in China?
Chinese, I think? No? Mandarin.
Mandarin.
I know this. Mandarin? They speak Mandarin, and then in Hong Kong they speak Cantonese.
Yeah. Very good. Where was the 2008 Olympics held?
2,000 years later.
吓我一大跳！哇，好大哦！我们两个活像乡巴佬，太大了吧？好像电影里面的场景啊，超大的，发生什么事了？哎，他们的月台是可以吸烟的，我没看到有人在吸烟呢，还是其实不可以？
好特别啊！
走吧。你看，哇，这到底怎样啊？我们出站了，我觉得有点像是那种星际基地的既视感呢，好像什么科幻片里面的星际基地，好大啊，好多连通道哦。我感觉我自己原本坐
Number 10.
Шло, то есть он прям приподнялся как будто. Вот мы сидели, он прям так и поехал. Смотри, скорость растет. Разгон до 100. Вот метро, кстати, поехало. Это метро. Шанхайское метро, видим в Магливе. Скорость 100. Такое даже. Пока нормально. Тут даже ремней безопасности нет, чувак, на такой скорости пофигу вообще. Первый поезд на магнитной подушке был запущен в Германии в 1984 году, и уже тогда он разгонялся 501 км в час. Уже тогда 500. Чувак, что ты нас смотри, прям под углом едем. Видишь? Горизонт завален. Скорость 300.